This video is sponsor-free and is made thanks to the kind contribution of my patrons. Please consider supporting my work by subscribing or clicking one of the links below, or both. The inflation's killing us all. I once had a colleague called, let's say, Joe. Joe had started working at the same time as me at this software company. Same position, same pay, the whole 9 yards. But we never became friends because from the get-go, Joe, who went to a far more prestigious school than myself, yet got the same job as me, felt like he was being underclassed. So he put competitiveness in, sixth gear. While me, on the other hand, already being as anti-corporate as you can get at that age, couldn't be bothered to care.
Got these hoes mad, cause I'm getting racks. Put 100 on the dash. Bitch, your breath stink. Please go put on a fucking mask. She said, pass the weed, bitch. I don't like to pass the gas.
I did my job, but I clocked in and clocked out right on time. Mind you, this is pre-COVID, so we actually had to go to offices back then.
Which was the style at the time. No!
Anyways, if the boss isn't there in the morning, awesome, I am walking in late. If the boss leaves early, screw it, I'm leaving 5 minutes after him. Joe came in first, left last, talked about the importance of the grind on every lunch break we had to share, about keeping an open mind and believing in yourself, how it would eventually, unavoidably lead to prosperity. Quote, if you do everything right, study hard, work hard, it will be noticed, and you will win. Well, you see, nobody liked Joe because poor Joe was as vanilla as you could get. A drone that thought he had found a philosophy while in reality believing in the oldest advertising campaign capitalism ever gave us. That if you do everything right, you will win. I checked Joe's LinkedIn the other day. Poor guy's still in the same company, maybe 1 or 2 promotions up. While me, myself, and I, a guy who runs a bloody YouTube channel and a podcast, which you should check out, by the way, link in the description, a guy who vomits in his own mouth a little bit every morning when I have to call for a team meeting or write 500 emails, that guy is basically 10 years ahead of him career-wise. So I got to thinking, is it because I'm just brilliant and likable? Is it because of my superior intellect, charms, and good looks? Is it because I'm just better than Joe? Well, if me and Joe switched places, he would probably say, yes, that is exactly why, you peasants, as he proceeds to urinate on them from his 12th floor middle management corporate office balcony. My answer is, radically different. Not because I'm not incredibly charming and good looking.
This is the editor speaking. In the script for this video, Nick suggested that he insert a joke at this part, where I basically interject to call him ugly. But how could I possibly body shame this beautiful large hairy boy?
But rather because of a combination of good material conditions, basically luck, me treating people as people and not as human capital, but also, and yes, finally we got to the point of this whole video, the rejection of toxic positivity.
Don't forget to smile. Always root for the local sports team. Go sports team! Always return a compliment. Hey, you look nice. So do you. Drink overpriced coffee.
Here you go. That's $37.
Awesome!
That everything will be all right always. The rejection of most pre-established advice we'd received from our parents, grandparents, friends, and professors who had lived in a different era, a younger capitalism, a dimension of its own. Me, just like many of you watching this, luckily enough, did not succumb to the, as previously mentioned, oldest trick in the status quo's book. That we're all just temporarily disadvantaged billionaires.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking.
The idea of the pursuit of happiness is central to the American dream and is often considered a fundamental human desire. However, Friedrich Nietzsche argued that the pursuit of happiness, defined as the attainment of pleasure, is a dull and unfulfilling way to live. Nietzsche believed that what people truly desire is meaning in their lives. He proposed the concept of the Übermensch, or the Superman, who creates his own meaning and purpose, as an alternative to the last man, a being who has generated happiness, but lacks any real purpose or drive. an idea also supported by many psychologists like Viktor Frankl, who found that meaning, not happiness, is the key to a fulfilling life. He observed that those who had a sense of purpose were able to endure even the most unimaginable suffering, even during events as insanely unbased and not goated like the Holocaust. Nietzsche also pointed out a problem with trying to maximize happiness through pleasure, called the paradox of happiness, which is that activities done specifically to increase pleasure often have a low payoff in happiness. Can we imagine that Michelangelo found painting the ceilings of the Sistine Chapel pleasant? Nikola Tesla declared that his celibacy was necessary to his work, but complained of his loneliness his entire life. Is that happiness? If these great minds wanted happiness in itself, would they have done what they did? No, says Nietzsche, they would not. Instead, they chose to pursue meaning and found it. This is what people really want. But applying this Nietzschean framework to a modern context, the context of the temporarily embarrassed billionaire, the tyrant of positivity, takes us down a dark rabbit hole. Today's value system, one almost exclusively built around the main ideology of the land's neoliberal capitalism, is a rather simple one. Pleasure, the pursuit of the last man, is found in escapism, the flickering of the Netflix, TikTok, or adult website screens, the pursuit of easy, cheap, stressless dopamine, or the pursuit of purpose and meaning of the Übermensch has been totally commodified, to the extent that we'll just call it that. Commodified purpose. The grind, the pursuit of wealth, and the ceaseless fight for being the top dog. And while striving for power is as common and basic as human goals can get, in late capitalism it has elevated itself into a synonym of enlightenment. The goal which may grant you purpose. But okay, I'm the last person who will sit here and tell you what real purpose is and what isn't. This is your choice. Want to be a Warhammer figure collector, an alpinist, or an opera singer. If your internal drive pushes you towards it, then you will, as Nietzsche says, find true meaning, and through it, true joy. But where commodified purpose differs is that for the millions of you out there whose true calling isn't seen by the status quo as profitable, the only option that exists is putting down your pen, your brush, your bow, and putting on the suit. It is false purpose, pitching itself as what we truly want. All callings which don't make you wealthy are now dismissed as hobbies, as escapism. We belittle all those who don't pursue a mainstream career as another cog in the machine, thinking that we're imparting on them wisdom. Parents converting their children from writers into bankers, friend groups draining passion from their peers through bullying, partners abandoning each other due to a lack of perceived stability. The Übermensch, unless all he craves is power and capital, is today seen as the last man. The insecurities of those who have given themselves to the matrix, so to say, to the pursuit of material wealth as their only logical purpose, cannot accept the fact that there exists an alternative which you may pursue, sure, but at the cost of potentially being socially ostracized by your family and community, because said as simply as possible, if you don't make money, you're a loser. Americans have more faith in upward economic mobility than nearly any other place on the planet. You people have a special, which isn't to say totalizing, attachment to the idea that class origin is not a destiny, and that anyone who works hard and is smart enough has a shot at a high standard of living. This meritocratic conviction sometimes shades into a belief that rich people's position in life is deserved, while poor people are lazy, unintelligent, or most importantly, didn't believe in themselves enough. All those, the majority of us, the billions of scientists, artists, visionaries, adventurers, or philosophers out there who were pushed into choosing not to live in the filth of poverty at the cost of giving up on their calling. For us, they bless us with the gift, the coping mechanism, a perverted version of positivity. Because, my friends, even after you lay your dreams to rest and clock in like a fellow proud drone, get to work! The very evident chances of you elevating yourself to a point in the hierarchy where you one day might not need to repeat the dread of monotony is lower than you'd ever think.
What do you think the chances are of
Becoming incredibly rich under capitalism.
Not good.
You mean not good like 1 out of 100?
More like 1 out of 1,000,000.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
So, just like the priests of old told us to keep our head down when royalty walks by, for we will be gifted with wealth in heaven, the modern system tells us, and we will reach it if only we work a little bit harder, a little bit longer. That purpose is right around the corner. They'll see, I'll make it, it will be all worth it, you repeat to yourself. As you go to bed, year in, year out, as your hair gets whiter and your distant dreams of purpose, different to money-making, become but a faint memory.
Had me chasing gear, feeling like I'm stunting. She said, get at me when you rockin' the means of production. I was showing them my gear.
I have nothing against positivity, nothing against hope. We all have our ups and downs, and keeping our chin up and pushing on is the closest to the definition of strength I can come up with. I wouldn't use nihilism to wipe shit off my boot. But when positivity is used as a call to inaction, when it's used as a blinding light against a very real situation you find yourself in, then we must understand that it's our enemy as much as depression, anxiety, or addiction. It becomes a sort of propaganda tool, placating us and thinking that hope is the only way out of this. And while for many stuck in circumstances that have nothing but hope to hang on to, that is understandable. But for all others, positivity for the sake of positivity becomes an anti-progressive force. The message of
don't worry, be happy
leads people to automatically assume that when they have a difficult time, thought or feeling, that they should push them aside, that it's somehow a sign of weakness. Everyone suffers, so must I. It's a part of the game we tell ourselves. I'll receive my reward eventually. This hinders our ability to learn from our experiences, and it limits us from developing an understanding of the real situation we find ourselves in, and our ability to eventually change it. Basically, the thesis is this. Once positivity becomes the goal, not a tool for achieving a goal, it can pacify us like almost nothing else. It can numb our understanding of the world so much, it promises so much, that we stop thinking of ourselves as people, as workers, but instead as inherently superior, waiting for our blessing right around the corner. Hence the temporarily disadvantaged millionaire. You have no idea how hard that sentence was to read. Would you call a gambling addict who keeps hitting that slot machine or keeps betting away his life savings positive for doing it over and over and over again, or would you call it madness? Temporarily disadvantaged millionaires are no different. They throw themselves at the mercy of the capitalist business machine, hoping the machine spits them back out wealthier than how they've started. And while it's possible, just like it's possible to hit black 3 times in a row in roulette, statistically, your chances of losing far outweigh winning. The only way you win in a casino is if you walk out. So let's walk out of this casino we call a system, because we don't need it. It needs us. My work would be impossible without the generous support of my patrons. If you would like to support the channel, keep it free of sponsorships or outside influence, please check out the links below. With that being said, I'd like to take a moment to thank all the wonderful supporters without whom this channel would never be able to run. Especially Mantis himself, Riot Act Ready, Jason Harrison, Romy Senpai, Holden Fast, Abraham, Cram Trevino, Fred Brennan, Red American, Jesus Salcero, Script, 3NB1, Tenka Kisposides, Maitake Kun, Kayleys, Lila, Red Messiah, Nibino, B-Man, Soup, Deep Red Wine, A Mining Comrade, Daredevil, Maynard, Gato Mars, Fight, Tifioka, Loss, Just in Case, Spodicume Commodity Guy, Mason Bauer, Danny Boy, Mugicha, Dead Spartan 08, Adam Takashi Dawn, Nikola Radovanovic, Miles D's Nuts, Carter Southern, The Politism, Zane Guevara, The Muffin Man, Boyan, Alki Historiker, User, Clement Face, Nel Surya, Semen Eggs, Marussia Astrabakara.